better late than never, as is my phrase for my book reviews, but I have my March reading recap coming at you at the end of April. And I only read one book in March, and that is fine. I started another one, I just didn't finish it in March. But this was a free TikTok sample, and I've done 2 little videos about it, but here comes the full video for this book. And it is Brooklyn by Colm Tóibín. I always look up how to pronounce names, but that doesn't mean I'm going to master it, and I try so hard to. But he is an Irish author, and I will read to you the little back blurb so that I can present this book accurately to you before we get into how I felt reading it. And it says, Eilish Lacey has come of age in small-town Ireland in the hard years following World War II. When an Irish priest from Brooklyn offers to sponsor Eilish to America, she decides she must go, leaving her fragile mother and her charismatic sister behind. Eilish finds work in a department store on Fulton Street, and when she least expects it, finds love. Tony, who loves the Dodgers and his big Italian family, slowly wins her over with patient charm. But just as Eilish begins to fall in love, devastating news from Ireland threatens the promise of her future. And this is also a movie, which I didn't know. And I just thought, okay, this kind of mixes my historical fiction love and just, the everyday life that I've been getting more into when reading fiction. And this is my new top book of the year. So it's well worth it that I only read one book in March for it to take the top slot. So this is the first in a series of 2 books, the Eilish Lacey series. There is a sequel called Long Island, which I want to read. I even put in for a giveaway on Goodreads for it. I've been putting in for those giveaways for years, and I still have never gotten anything. But I read this book from March 1st to March 18th, and I give it a 5 out of 5. My first and so far only 5 out of 5 this year. Now, you're going to go, why? What's so special about it? It's just its simplicity. It is so heavy, but it doesn't come across heavy, if that makes sense. I didn't feel weighed down. I didn't have to put it down and stop reading it because it was too much. If anything, I wanted to keep reading it, but I had to get my day going and do things in my daily life. And I just found the story and the love story and the relationship building between Eilish and Tony so endearing, and sometimes reminded me of my husband and mine's early courtship, as we will say, that it just made me smile. There was cuteness, there was awe moments, but nothing overly sappy, nothing that made me go, ugh, this is like a Hallmark movie. It was just real. And reading about her time, she worked in a department store, and she's dealing with a racism towards her, while there's also racism to others in New York because of where they come from or the color of their skin, and just seeing those different demographics interact with each other. It was just a nice, heartwarming story. Now, all that being said, I will say I was disappointed in the end. Basically, from the time that Eilish goes back to Ireland for a visit, and I'll leave it at that, what happens there made me feel sour towards Eilish. And I've never felt like either a real connection or a certain feeling towards a character to make me go, oh, I don't like you anymore, but I did with this. And I'm glad there's a sequel for like redemption. But then when I read what the sequel is, I'm like, I don't know if I want to read it because I don't want to sour anything else. But if you just like Stories where people discover who they are, who fight against odds, who come over from another country to start a new life, but also have a tug of war with their old life, and just seeing relationships build. I think you'll like this book. And it's a movie, and I watched the trailer, and I will admit it was in hopes of hearing people say character names so I can better pronounce them. And I'm interested in seeing the movie, curious to see how faithful it is to the book. But also I don't want to see the movie because I have ideas and images and pictures in my head, and I don't want to taint that. So I'm not sure. Plus, then I'll be disappointed there's not a movie for the sequel when I get to the sequel. But I do highly recommend this book. And I'll be curious to see what can push this out of first place. I'll be curious if this lasts the whole year as #1 or not. So there we go. That was my March reading, and I was quite pleased with it. All that said, I didn't do any quotes. And it's not because nothing was memorable, but I guess because the conversations were so basic and not trying to be, what is it that I want to say? Not trying to be fancy, not trying to be prolific, just people talking. I guess nothing really struck me, but that doesn't mean the dialogue wasn't good. I was just too enthralled to take a pause and get a sticky note and slap it in. All right. Well, if you are reading, I hope you're enjoying what you're reading. And until next time, happy reading. Bye.